Welcome to Grand Prix, your go-to channel for the fastest updates in Formula One. We've got 3 hot stories for you, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay ahead of the pack. Let's get started. Another week, another wave of controversy in the world of Formula One. This time, all eyes were on Max Verstappen after a dramatic turn of events at the Canadian Grand Prix. In the closing laps of the race, Verstappen appeared to lose his composure, a rare sight for the reigning world champion. The trouble began with a close battle against Charles Leclerc, where Verstappen didn't take kindly to being overtaken. The Red Bull driver responded with an aggressive maneuver, nudging the Ferrari in a move that immediately raised eyebrows. But the drama didn't stop there. Not long after, Verstappen found himself tangled in a heated fight with George Russell. His team instructed him to give the position back to the Mercedes driver, a standard call under FIA regulations. Verstappen seemingly agreed, but during the actual attempt to yield, he made contact with Russell's car. The incident was quickly reviewed by the stewards, who deemed the move unsportsmanlike and handed Verstappen a 10-second time penalty. That penalty proved costly. It dropped Verstappen from 5th place to 10th, severely denting his points tally and momentum in the championship. The incident sparked widespread debate across the F1 community. Was the contact with Russell intentional, or was it a clumsy misjudgment in the heat of the moment? Opinions remain divided, but what's clear is that the consequences of that move go far beyond a single race result. In addition to the time penalty, Verstappen was hit with 3 penalty points on his super license. This has pushed his total to 11 points, just one shy of the 12-point threshold that would trigger an automatic one-race suspension. It's a precarious situation for any driver, but especially for someone in the thick of a title battle. Fortunately for Verstappen, penalty points are not permanent. They expire after 12 months, and 2 of his points are due to drop off at the end of this month. That would bring his total down to 9, still uncomfortably close to the limit, but giving him a bit of breathing room. However, he must now navigate the upcoming Grands Prix in Canada and Austria without incurring any further penalties. One more point, and he risks sitting out a race, something that could significantly derail his pursuit of a 5th world championship. Even beyond June, the road doesn't get much easier. He will remain at risk until late October, when 2 more points are scheduled to expire. Until then, Verstappen must keep his driving clean and composed, or risk facing the consequences of another slip-up. This pressure cooker scenario adds a new layer of tension to the championship storyline. Verstappen has built his reputation on being fast, fearless, and at times, fiercely aggressive. But now, that edge might need to be tempered with a dose of caution. He'll need to balance his instinct to fight for every position with the very real possibility that one wrong move could sideline him. So what do you think? Can Verstappen hold it together over the next few races and avoid crossing that critical 12-point line? Or is it only a matter of time before we see the reigning champion watching a race from the sidelines due to suspension? One thing's for sure, the next few rounds will be more than just about speed. They'll be a test of control, discipline, and whether a champion can evolve under pressure. It's no secret that the Sauber team has been under fire lately, particularly due to the questionable strategic decisions made for Brazilian rookie Gabriel Bortolito. Race after race, fans and analysts have pointed out how the team's miscalculations have directly impacted Bortolito's chances of scoring his first points in Formula One. This past weekend at the Spanish Grand Prix was yet another example. Bortolito put in an impressive performance during qualifying and managed a solid start to the race. He avoided trouble in the opening laps and kept a strong and consistent pace. Everything seemed to be going in the right direction. However, once again, strategy, or the lack thereof, undermined all the progress he had made on track. Sauber delayed calling Bortolito into the pits for a tire change, hoping to extend his first stint and perhaps gain a strategic advantage. Instead, as his tires began to degrade rapidly, his pace dropped significantly. Cars that were well behind began to catch up quickly, creating a train of drivers stacked right behind him. By the time he finally pitted, Bortolito had lost critical track position. Rather than fighting for a spot in the top 10, he returned to the track buried deep in the midfield, forced to start a comeback from the rear end of the grid. Despite this setback, Bortolito didn't give up. He mounted an impressive recovery, overtaking several competitors with precise, calculated moves. By the final laps of the race, there was still a realistic chance for him to break into the points. Unfortunately, the time and positions lost due to the initial strategy call proved too much to overcome entirely. After the race, team principal Jonathan Whitley openly acknowledged the team's mistake and praised Bortolito's performance. In a rare display of accountability, he admitted that Sauber had misjudged the situation and let their young driver down. He had to adapt to the new aerodynamic package on Saturday morning and went straight into qualifying, Whitley explained. He delivered exactly what we asked of him and had a strong race. We were a bit too aggressive today. We expected to score points and thought we could manage a one-stop strategy, but a few pieces didn't fall into place, and we couldn't make it work for him. We've been criticized, and rightfully so. We didn't execute well in terms of strategy. Whitley didn't stop there. He also commended the team's other driver, Nico Hülkenberg, who benefited from a better strategy and ended the race with an excellent fifth-place finish. Hülkenberg's result showed that the car had the potential to score significant points. Had Bortolito received similar support from the pit wall, Sauber might have been celebrating a double points finish. While it's encouraging to see the team take responsibility, the situation raises broader questions about Bortolito's development within the team. Repeated strategic missteps not only cost points, but also erode a young driver's confidence. With raw pace and resilience clearly on display, Bortolito has shown he has what it takes to succeed in Formula One. What he needs now is a team that maximizes his potential rather than consistently holding him back. So what's your take? Is Sauber truly undermining Bortolito's early F1 career through poor strategy decisions? Or are these just growing pains for a team working through its own rebuild? Let us know in the comments. We'll be watching closely to see how this story unfolds in the next races. Max Verstappen was at the center of attention once again after the Spanish Grand Prix, where a series of high-stakes moves late in the race drew criticism and cost him valuable points in the championship. The Dutch driver was involved in intense battles in the closing stages. First with Charles Leclerc in a fierce wheel-to-wheel exchange that ended with contact between the Red Bull and Ferrari cars, and shortly after with George Russell in another controversial moment. After going off track in his duel with Russell, Verstappen was instructed by his team to return the position. He appeared to comply, but the attempt to give the place back turned chaotic when he ended up making contact with Russell's Mercedes. The stewards reacted swiftly, slapping Verstappen with a 10-second time penalty. As a result, he was demoted from 5th place to 10th in the final classification, losing significant ground in the standings. But that wasn't the end of his troubles. Verstappen also received 3 penalty points on his super license, bringing his total to 11. One more point, and he faces an automatic one-race suspension, a scenario that adds enormous pressure heading into the upcoming races. From now on, any further penalties, no matter how small, could result in a forced absence from the grid. The F1 community has been buzzing with opinions. Was Verstappen's behavior overly aggressive? Did he throw away his chances at another title with a moment of poor judgment? These are the questions that fans and analysts have been debating. Some say his fiery temperament got the best of him, while others believe it was a mix of frustration and circumstance that pushed him to the limit. After the race, Verstappen appeared visibly frustrated during interviews. However, later in the evening, with a cooler head, he addressed the incident in a social media post. In his statement, he said he had been optimistic about the team's strategy for Barcelona, but felt that the safety car disrupted their plan. He added that certain tire choices and decisions by the team had left him disappointed, ultimately leading to a move he admitted was wrong and should not have happened. In his own words, Verstappen acknowledged that he always gives everything for the team, and sometimes, emotions can run high in those moments. His admission seemed to reflect a degree of regret and self-awareness, something not often seen from the usually defiant driver. Still, the question remains, will he change? Will this be a turning point for Verstappen, prompting a more measured approach in the next races? Or could we see him grow even more combative, doubling down on the aggressive style that has both won him races and drawn penalties? Only time will tell. For now, Verstappen walks a fine line. With the threat of suspension hanging over him, the next few races could be the most mentally challenging of his career. He must channel his competitive fire in a way that keeps him in the fight for the championship without stepping over the line. Any misstep could prove costly, not just for his points total, but for his reputation as well. What do you think? Will Verstappen learn from this episode and adjust his approach? Or are we in for an even more intense version of the reigning champion in the weeks to come?